thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview sponsored by Immoved. Help your horses reach their maximum potential with Immoved's line of natural homeopathic products. I'm your host today, Aurelian Dremia. Today, we are honored to speak with Frank Taylor, Vice President of Boarding at Taylor Made Sales Agency. We'll explore the essential physical attributes and pedigrees that make a top dirt horse, discuss the standout qualities of high-priced lots like Informed Patriot and Cats by Five, and gain insights into the demand for North American horses in the Middle East. Join us as Frank shares his expertise and the impact of innovative programs like Stable Recovery. Stay tuned for a great discussion. So first of all, well, like I said, great to have you here, Frank.
It's great to be on. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So could you elaborate a little bit more on the specific physical attribute that one should look for in a horse, especially on dirt?
Well, it's pretty simple to me. A good dirt horse, thoroughbred, looks like a quarter horse with a long neck and some stretch to him. Dirt horses, I think, have to have some speed to them to be able to be competitive. And I love a horse with a thin, good long neck and a big hindquarter. Um, that's kind of what D. Wayne Lucas looked for. And D. Wayne Lucas was a guy that came along buying yearlings 40 years ago that kind of revolutionized how people looked at horses, and he changed the game. And I think people have really, he bought these type of horses, and he was very successful with them. And I think, Bob Baffert buys a similar type of horse. But they're basically, if you want to describe them, they're kind of stretchy, elegant looking quarter horse types with good muscling and a nice thin neck. I think it's important on a dirt horse. I like to see not too much curvature in their hind leg. That's one big thing I see the difference between a dirt horse and a turf horse is a turf horse will do better with a little bit more curvature to his hind leg. And a dirt horse needs a good, strong, straight hind leg with a strong gaskin and stifle and to really be able to push off on the dirt.
Excellent. Wow, very interesting. And what sets Informed Patriot and Cats by Five apart from the rest, making them the highest price lots in the Fasig Tipton July Racing Age sale?
Well, they were both horses that were good looking physicals and they had good recent current form, and they vetted out well. So that's what the market wants. People want to buy horses that are ready to run, they get instant action, and those horses really fit the bill. And the way the sales auctions have changed over the years has gotten better, and it allows you to maximize a horse that gets hot at the right time and be able to sell him. Like some of these horses they run, we get them in the sale the next day, we show them a day, and we sell them the next day. So including like mares that have offspring that are hot and things like that. So with the digital sales and with the flexible deadline for these what I call bricks and mortar sales, it gives the opportunity for the seller to present their horse at a peak time when they're really really desirable.
Wow, that makes sense. That's great. And what are your expectations for those two horses, Informed Patriot and Cats by Five, success in their new training environment, specifically in the Middle East?
Well, they ought to be very good horses in the Middle East. They should be dominant, and I hope and pray that they're really successful for the buyer, so that they can return and buy more. You always want to sell a horse that runs well, and I think there's so much money in Saudi Arabia and Dubai and the Middle East that these horses that are good dirt horses. Are very, very desirable for the buyers there.
Definitely. Could you explain the importance of pedigree when selecting a dirt horse, perhaps with an example or two that illustrate, the significance?
Well, pedigrees play a big role in deciding whether a horse runs on dirt or turf. You know, if the most of the family has run on turf, then they're probably going to be turf runners. Most
Sure.
of the families run on dirt, they're probably going to be dirt runners. Occasionally, you run up on horses like we have a stallion called Not This Time,
Okay.
and he's a very unusual, versatile horse. You know, he just had a horse that set a world record going 5.5 furlongs,
Wow.
and he just had a horse run 109 Beyer figure going a marathon distance. And he gets dirt horses like Epicenter, who was second in the Derby and was champion. And he also gets turf horses like Cogburn, who just set the world record, and Shareholder, who's arguably the best 2-year-old in Europe. So some sires, like you take in America, like Kitten's Joy, Warfront, those are horses that are predominantly lean towards turf.
Okay.
Um, and they're actually discounted in this country, which is amazing because 50% of the races are on the turf here. But I think turf racing is catching on in America, and it's getting better. But you know, you see these horses that get just dirt runners. You know, you're not going to buy that type of horse to go to the turf with,
Fair
and
enough.
vice versa. Yeah,
Sure. Sure. It's very different selection, I can imagine.
yeah, right.
From your
Some
experience,
some stallions some stallions tend to just be turf horses.
okay.
Some tend to just be dirt horses, and then there's some stallions that have a mix that can go either way.
Wow.
So you just got to read it into the pedigree. Um, you know, I have a horse right now by Justify named Legitimize, and he is by Justify. When I bought him, nobody really thought, man, this is not, Justify would be turf horses, but now Justifies he's a horse that can get turf horses and can get dirt horses. And this particular colt is, or gelding, is by Justify, and it's all turf pedigree. So it's very you know that horse is run well on the turf starting out, and I think he's more of a turf horse.
And do you prefer like a horse that excels on both, or maybe just one specifically? I feel like maybe if they can run on turf and dirt, hmm, it, I don't know. What's your preference on that one?
Well, it depends on where I'm racing. If I'm in Europe, obviously you want a turf horse. If you're in America, you lean towards a dirt horse.
Fair enough.
But usually what happens is you will see a horse that'll find an affinity to one or the other.
Hmm.
And once they're being successful on one surface, then you don't see people switching back and forth.
I can
You know what
imagine.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Once you kind of establish yourself as a dirt horse, you run on the dirt because
sure.
there's no reason to really switch to the turf. And then, and then when you're a turf horse, it's not you're a turf horse. But in America, you know, if you have a really top horse that's a turf horse, you'd love to see him have some form on the dirt as well
Right.
because it will attract breeders for dirt and turf horses.
Hmm,
But so that's kind of how that works.
I see. Great. And from your experience, what bloodlines do you feel perform, exceptionally well on dirt surfaces?
Well, I think the Raise a Native, Mr. Prospector, all those lines like that are true dirt horses. AP Indy's dirt,
Hmm.
Into Mischief's dirt, but he can also get you a turf horse. You know, I think that that Gun Runner's a top stallion here, and he's more of a just a dirt stallion in my opinion up to this point.
Okay.
So you know, the Northern Dancer line, which was very prominent and big impact on this. I think that he had a lot of, he could sire a lot of both. He could get a dirt and a turf horse. So, you know, it's rare that you get a horse that's really good at siring both of them.
I can imagine. And when evaluating yearlings or even unproven horses, what key traits do you prioritize for dirt racing success?
Well, I think, like I said before, is having a powerful hip and a good straight hind leg and a laid back shoulder and a good clean neck.
Hmm.
That's what a dirt horse looks like to me. Um, Now those same attributes can run over the turf, but on a turf horse, I think you can get by with a horse with a little more soft pastern, maybe a little less strength in the hip, and you can get away with a little bit more curvature of the hind leg. And so, a turf horse to me kind of looks different than than a good dirt horse. But occasionally, you just get a great looking horse that could run on dirt or turf.
And both.
But I think that a walk is very important on a horse, whether it's run on dirt or turf. I think that turf horses generally walk better, the more of a loose, fluid walk, and it's more necessary for that on a turf horse. Whereas I think on a dirt horse, you can get by with a little less over extension in the stride.
Fair enough.
But that's the main points for dirt and turf.
Fair enough. I guess experience makes you decide, what you're looking into a horse specifically for one surface.
Yeah, just the pedigree and the conformation.
For sure.
You see one thing you can see and look for is people running a horse on the dirt and he's not running any good, and then all of a sudden you say, well, they're about ready to get rid of him or they're going to drop him in a claimer, and you get him and switch surfaces with him, and especially if he's got a turf pedigree, and you can see a horse really move up
Wow.
on dirt and turf. And then you've got the synthetic track, and the synthetic track is kind of in the middle of the two. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But it seems like that turf horses like synthetic tracks as well. So I think a synthetic track is more akin to like working well for turf horses than maybe dirt. Yeah.
Fair enough. And given your deep experience, what conformational traits are especially desirable for dirt horses compared to those racing? Well, you did mention on turf or synthetic surfaces or tracks, actually. Um, yeah. Let's just move on to
So
the next. Yes, sorry.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, because it's similar to what you just mentioned, actually, conformational traits, especially comparing those two or three different tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But what factors would you feel contribute to a strong demand, we are seeing currently for North American horses from the Middle East market?
So, take for instance Saudi. They're buying a lot of good race horses and dirt horses from America,
Hmm.
and they're racing primarily on dirt. That's what their big races are. They're dirt.
Sure.
So, for that reason, the best dirt horses I believe that are being bred in the world are in America, and the best turf horses that are being bred are in Europe. And of course, Japan's emerging, and they're breeding some super horses now too. So in Australia, but basically, if you think I want to buy a dirt horse, you think America. If you think I want to buy a turf horse, you think Europe. And what you find a lot, and we've had great success with, is you go to Europe and buy a turf filly, right? And you run her there for a little bit, and then you bring her to the States. And generally, the quality of turf race runners in America is softer than in Europe. So you can run them a few times, win with them there. The turf is very forgiving on the horses, so they tend to stay sound better. So they run at their 2-year-old year, maybe up to the three, and then you bring them to the States, especially if you can find sire lines um, that are turf horses that like fast ground, hard turf,
Okay,
because you can take a filly in Europe that's running on soft ground, and maybe she's okay, but she really wants the firmer turf, and you're a whole lot more likely to get firmer turf in America than you are in Europe.
I see. Fair enough. Very interesting. And could you share your insights on the critical aspect of a horse training regiment and racing history that you consider, when evaluating their potential for dirt racing?
Um, I think you just got to keep a horse healthy and happy. and that's the big key. And I'm a big believer that, it's important to have a great trainer and a great rider and all the team. But I think that the person grooming the horse plays a big part. If they're doing that job right, it moves them to another level because they're spending more time with the horse than anybody. So, the great trainers and the people that have good programs, they have systems, and they work those horses, and they have a basic system that they work through, that's something that works for them. And then if they're really good, they can adjust those horses, adjust the system to fit the horse. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so it's all about, like anything in any business, you got to have really good help.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got a good team and you have a good help, that's going to allow that horse to maximize his ability. Now, you're not going to take a great team and take care of a slow horse and make him fast, but you can take a fast horse and have somebody not taking care of him and make him slow. Um, so it's about training them, keeping them sound, keeping them happy, keeping them in the feed tub, and that's what makes horses work and be successful.
Excellent. It's very much, specifically in this industry, I feel like it's very much of a team efforts.
Yeah, it takes a very good team. So many people touch these horses, from the transportation guy to the groom to the exercise rider to the transportation people. There's so many hands that play a part in getting a horse from conception to the racetrack and back. It's just amazing how many. If you look at a horse's life cycle and see how many people touch that horse and have an effect on that horse's life.
That's
So
true.
the
Also,
better people you have along the way, the more chances of having great success um, that you have.
excellent. And could you share any details about upcoming sales that TaylorMade will be presenting at?
Yes, we just got done selling in July. We sold like 35 yearlings, sold about 18 racehorses in a Fasig Tipton July sale. So we got off to a good start there.
For sure.
There's 240 horses selling in Saratoga in early August. That's the select sale. Really, really top quality horses there. Every year, some of the very best horses come out of that sale. It's a very select, prestigious, nice sale. There's like 240 in the sale. TaylorMade has 40 horses in that sale. So, that sale's been very good to us. Last year, we sold the highest price yearling at 4 million there.
Oh, wow.
And so it's exciting. We go up to that sale, and then right after that sale, they have a New York bred selection sale where New York breds sell, and we'll sell probably another 40 or 50 there. And then we'll come back, be in Kentucky for a couple weeks, and then we go to the September sale, and we'll sell several hundred there. And then we'll follow up with another 150 or 100 to 150 in October sale, yearling sale, and then we'll come to the November sale and sell several hundred mares and foals, and that's pretty much the sales we have lined up coming now.
That is pretty amazing. Quite
Yeah,
significant. Wow.
it takes a big team.
I can
You know,
imagine.
we sell over 1,000 horses a year at public auction, and
Wow.
we've been doing it for nearly 50 years, and we just every sale we sit down and say, how do we get better? And we just tweak things and try to be the best we can and get the most for our customers and sell good horses to our buying base.
That's great. All right, finally on to the last question, Frank. What inspired you to create the Stable Recovery Program, and how has it impacted the labor shortage challenge in Kentucky's horse farms?
Well, the stable recovery plan or program is kind of a new thing for me, and it's where my passion is. I'm very passionate about selling and raising good horses and doing that. But this business has been very good to me and my family. It's blessed us. It's brought us from basically we had nothing when we started, a very very meager beginning, and it's allowed us to thrive and develop a very successful business. And my parents were always people that showed us and taught us to give back, and to when you're blessed, you need to bless others. So in that vein, we've always tried to help and be charitable and make this a better world. But there was just an opportunity that I saw that I was actually there's a restaurant here in town called DV8 Kitchen, and a guy named Rob Perez and his wife Diane run that, and they're both in recovery, and they only employ people that are in recovery. So I used to go there and eat, and I'd say, "Wow, this food's fantastic, and this help's really
Oh,
good."
wow.
And and then I heard that everybody was there sober and working. So I went to Rob and I said, "Do you think this would work in the horse business?" And he said, "Yeah, I think it would actually work better in the horse business because you're in a very therapeutic outside door situation, and you're working with probably the most therapeutic animal in the world." And he just says, "I think it's going to be really, really good." So anyway, I went to my brothers and I said, "I got this idea. I want to start this school of horsemanship." And there was a lot of concerns. You're bringing in people that are addicts and alcoholics, and have criminal backgrounds, and all these concerns. And and what are customers going to think? What if we get a horse hurt? What if we have somebody OD? Or and so it was a tough decision, and they had a lot of concerns, and I did too. But I just felt it was like a calling to do it.
Wow.
And I said, part of our mission statement is to bring our customers dreams to life while living out our Christian values and making a profit. So I kind of pulled the card. I said, "What about those Christian values? Is what would that say?" And so I talked them in, and they agreed. I said, "Give me 90 days. Let me try it." I said, "If anything goes wrong, we'll just shut it down." So it's just been an amazing ride. It's been one miracle after another. It's really growing. We just added another 20 beds. We're up to 52 beds now. We've had just under 100 men graduate from the program. We've got like 60 people that are working in the industry that are sober and thriving. Our success rate is 3 times higher than the national average.
Wow.
And the reason is because we have an unfair advantage. Most people put them through a 30 or 90-day program to get them sober,
Sure.
but then they'll send them back to their old hometown without a job, and the same triggers and the same situation, and then it's a very very high relapse rate.
Sure.
But when they come to TaylorMade, they're out on the farm. It's very military operation. The guy that runs it for us is named Christian Counselor, and he's a military guy, and was in addiction himself, and got into that. And then he worked at the Shepherd's House where we originally got our people from. That was a sober living place. And then after we kind of outgrew that, I hired Christian, and he came in and he named it Stable Recovery. And then we started a 501c3, and it's just grown from there. And I think it's going to continue to grow. I believe someday it'll be all over America and hopefully all over the world,
That's
because
great.
it works. We keep KPIs, what we call key predictive indicators, and having a success rate 3 times higher than national average is one of the key indicator that I like. But probably my favorite one is we keep track of how many family members that we've reunited.
Mhm.
And last count, we've reunited 802 family members.
Oh, wow.
And when you see guys coming in here that are on the path to death, that some of them have OD'd and been Narcan back or this or that, and they're on the brink. It's they got to change or they're going to die. And then you see those guys get in here and make a connection with the horse, and they immediately have purposeful work, and they're learning a skill, and they get paid. And it doesn't cost them a dime to get into the program. And then they're in an environment where they're with 30 other men that are all trying to do the same thing, and they're drug tested daily, and a lot of accountability, a lot of expectations. Their daily routine is they get up at 5 every morning, they make their bed military style, say their prayers, come to an AA meeting at 6:45. They're in the AA meeting. 7 o'clock, they're in the barns working till 4, and then they come back in the evening and get another AA meeting, or outside speaker comes in and talks to them, and then they go get dinner and go to bed. So it's just once you just occupy all their time with positive people and positive things and accountability. And so it's an amazing program that is going unbelievable well. We've had, it's all been by donations from people. It's all been funded from just word of mouth, people seeing what we're doing, and then seeing how successful and how helpful it is. It's just so good on every front. Like in Kentucky, the cost of the government to incarcerate or to rehab an opioid addicted person, the number is 236,000 per opioid addicted person, and you can put somebody through stable recovery for 12,000. And so you're reuniting families, you're developing a skill set for these people, you're making them become a contributing member of society, you're putting dads back in homes. It's just a win-win-win for everybody.
Definitely. What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it just keeps going. We need more donors and need more people to pitch in. So if anybody's listening or anybody wants to contribute or that, go to Stable Recovery website, and we always love to invite people out here and meet the guys and see what we're doing. So everybody's always welcome.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for this interview, Frank. That was great.
All right. Well, thank you very much.